Hello everyone, Fanta here, and you are watching Fantavision. Today, I'm discussing something that has been bothering me with the games industry for quite a while now, and that is false generosity. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Star Wars Battlefront 2, EA took out the loot boxes. They redesigned the system, so, I mean, there's still the loot boxes, but you can't actually pay for them, and they don't have the skills in them anymore. It's just cosmetic kind of stuff, which is what they said they couldn't do to begin with. They also said the progression had to be in the loot boxes. They said a lot of stuff. But wouldn't you know it, suddenly with all that backlash, oh, we can do it now. We can just simply just change it back. Okay, we'll just change it to what we said we couldn't do. And then recently, very recently, Warner Brothers is taking the loot boxes out, and I believe July, I think, from Shadow of War. Now, I could be wrong in the dates. Everyone's going to let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. But they are, in fact, taking out the loot boxes, and they're fixing the end game missions where you go on your raid to make it less grindy. So by doing all of this, they've basically admitted to being guilty of greed. Because that's exactly what they are. They are a greedy corporation just like EA. Which is really unfortunate because, I mean, both of them have such great games. Whether they're making them or not, whether they're just publishing them or whatnot, because most of the time they're just publishing stuff. They usually insert their greed everywhere they can. And they claim that they have to do this, and they claim that this is necessary, and then they pull it out. Now, I know some people are defending loot boxes, some people are defending that games cost more money to make, but they're still making a ton of money. I don't understand. And somebody actually made the point that they have to keep games updated these days, whereas games back then were shipped, and that's what they were. If there are any problems with them, you're stuck with those problems forever. But the thing is, I don't really remember that many problems in games back then. I don't remember ever getting a game, bringing it home, and being unable to play it because it was broken. I don't ever remember patches needing to be a thing. Now, I could be completely wrong. I mean, maybe you have some examples, but I played a lot of video games. I still have a lot of PS2 games, a lot of NES games, Super Nintendo, GameCube, and I don't remember any of those games being launched broken. Because you're right, you couldn't fix them. And that's another topic for another day about this generation, but that's not an argument as to why games are more expensive. That's a terrible argument. You should be launching these games working. You shouldn't have to rely on updates. It's not like they're updating the games and adding more content most of the time. And if they are adding more content, it's more content that's either going to cost in-game money, which you can then pay real money for, GTA 5, or they're just adding it to the damn loot boxes like Overwatch and plenty of other games that have loot boxes. They're not adding free content, they're adding to the paywall. And you could argue that Overwatch is a bad example because they're adding new maps, but God, they make so much money. Don't even. You can't tell me that that's free content. I mean, oh my God. They must make so much money. And then they have the balls to charge $20 for the Twitch All Access Pass for their frickin' esports thing. Are you serious? Anyway, they can do whatever they want. You know, they can monetize whatever. People will buy it. And if people are buying it, I understand why they do it. But that doesn't make it okay. And these companies that keep adding in these scumbag things and then removing it and acting like they're being generous is just ridiculous. You're not being generous to the players. You had it in there at the most profitable time of the game's life cycle. Battlefront, and especially Shadow of War, had those loot boxes in there for as long as they possibly could. Now, Battlefront 2 did cut off the microtransactions fairly quickly because of how big that backlash was. And then Shadow of War is taking their sweet ass time to the point where people are probably not buying these boxes anymore. And now they're trying to sell as many copies as they can after the fact because they've already made all the money they need to make off those boxes. And they're like, well, let's just try to sell more of this game. Maybe if we pretend that we're generous and remove these microtransactions and make that last part of the game not needed of microtransactions, we'll sell more copies. It'll be great. We'll seem like great people. Where in reality, a lot of us are like, yeah, no, it's too late. You can go fuck yourself. We're not going to buy your game. I'm still not buying Battlefront 2. You lost your chance at it. You took your shot at greed and you missed completely. And all the people that keep saying, "Oh, you complain too much. You complain and whine, and why do you whine and complain and just keep pointing out issues and you're so negative." And the thing is I am not really that negative of a person. But I do look to find faults in things because that's how you get things to be better. If you don't point out the flaws in something and you viciously defend it like a fanboy, do you know what you're solving? Nothing. You are taking the thing that you enjoy and you're making it worse. Because there are inherent flaws in almost everything. And you know what? If you don't point those out, then those flaws aren't going to get fixed in the next iteration of it. And this is the video game industry. You know for a fact there's going to be another iteration of it. So if you want someone to make a better version of that game you already love, point out what's wrong with it. Yes, for the love of God, also talk about the things that you love about it. Yes, say why you love it. Tell me why you love these things. Tell the companies why you love these games, but do not for a second think that anybody dissing it should all of a sudden be attacked, because that's not right at all. They probably enjoy that game just as much as you do. However, they have found problems with it, and they want that game company or any other game company that's making a similar game to see those problems that you have with it so they can get those fixed. And if it wasn't for people like me or Jim Sterling, okay, I'm not going to say me, I'm not a huge presence on YouTube. If it wasn't for people like Jim Sterling, who continually makes videos about industry bullshit, he inspires people like myself and other YouTubers that may not be as big, but when the collection of voices is continually shouting, yeah, it might get annoying to hear the same content over and over and over, but it's completely necessary. It is completely necessary that you continually point out to these companies what they are doing wrong. If you tell them that, yes, you are voting with your wallet, you tell other people to vote with your wallet, it's going to spread, and they're going to feel that impact. And you know what? They did. And that's exactly why they have to do this. This is why they're pulling out the loot boxes. Now, Shadow of War has been taking forever to do it, so obviously they don't give a shit. But EA had to save face, or Disney was going to take their license away. So this complaining isn't for nothing. Even with Tales from Retail, I'm telling these stories for so many different reasons, including the reason that I want these stores to realize what they're doing and how they can treat their employees better. So if you complain about other people complaining, what are you doing? Honestly. I mean, let people voice their opinions about things, because at least my intentions are trying to make things better. And why would you complain about that? Especially if you're complaining at that point. If you were complaining about someone complaining, it's so ironic, because now you are. You are what you hate at that point. If you're complaining about someone complaining, I just don't get the logic of those people. I don't. I really don't. Anyway, don't buy into it, because they're not being generous. Just like all these other companies that are championing the fact that they don't have loot boxes, and they're like, well, we don't have loot boxes. It's like, well, you shouldn't. That shouldn't be a selling point, is to not have loot boxes. That should be the norm. And if companies have to advertise and brag about not having loot boxes in their games, then we're really at a problem. We're having a problem with the game industry. That's not good. It's like how season passes became the norm. That's not good. Season passes are so stupid. I can't get over how dumb they are. I think I've already done an episode on them, but if I haven't, I need to. So that was my little rant about just not accepting what companies say. Don't listen to the company's PR because they're just trying to trick you. And it's unfortunate that I have to constantly make these videos about the industry, and I have to just continually have other YouTubers do the same, because if we don't, they're just going to keep doing it and people aren't going to realize that they're doing it, because they're tricky. Really. They're really smart. I mean, they really think these things out before they do them, before they say them. They do a lot of stupid crap, believe me, but the thing is the general public just does not remember. Myself included. I mean, whenever Jim Sterling does a video about what a certain company is doing or how they're kind of being hypocrites and going back on what they said, he brings up these old quotes from these companies, and I don't even remember them saying them. Like Ubisoft never, like, saying something about microtransactions or DLC. I don't remember what they said, but they can, like, just did a flip-flop. Now, I will never forget that DICE said they would never have a season pass. They would never have you have to pay for DLC. A lot of people might not remember this, but I really remember this because I saw that EA was publishing them, and I'm like, we'll see how long that lasts, huh? I remembered correctly. 2010, I had to look it up. DICE said in 2010, we'll never charge for Battlefield maps. Now, they did have expansion packs. They did have expansion packs for their Battlefield games, but those were huge, huge expansions. Like Battlefield Vietnam? I mean, that was giant. That was a completely new game, pretty much. But do you remember that? We'll never charge for Battlefield maps. That's just... So it's these kind of things that people forget. And I'm sure you guys probably forgot because it was so long ago. That was 8 years ago. And then what did they do? They started charging for maps. And this is a huge common thing that the game industry does. They say one thing and they do another. And we got to keep tabs on them. We got to hold them up to their word. Because if we don't, they're just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. And if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. So, that's all I got to say. Be careful of PR people. Don't believe everything the game industry says, because most of it, unfortunately nowadays, is just a bunch of lies. Thanks for watching, everyone. Leave a like down below if you guys liked the video. Subscribe for more content, and comment down below of like what a company has said and then just gone back on. If you guys can remember some quotes, I would love that. I want to see the comment section just full of them. Just full of hypocrisy that the game industry has done over the years, because I'm sure it's been a lot. And as always, even though the game industry is constantly in shambles, have a fantastic day. See ya. By the way, I am drinking Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA. I know I didn't do like the intro, but this isn't Tales from Retail, whatever. I can do it out of order. It's at 9%. It's not really a fruity beer, so people can't give me crap this time. I mean, it says like citrus flavors, but it's cut pine. It's definitely what it tastes like more of. It's like a citrusy, woody taste to it. It's a very hoppy flavor. I like it a lot. It's one of those days I need a 9%. One of those days for sure. Oh, by the way, I was right about Sea of Thieves.